It's on. All right, ready to roll?
Yep.
David Hahn, KC Johnson here in Brooklyn before Game 2, the off day, and they say KC playoff series really doesn't start until you're embarrassed on the road, or something like that.
Or a playoff series doesn't start until you're filming a video on a rooftop deck.
But yeah, this is our view of Brooklyn, and certainly the Bulls' view of this series changed dramatically last night. I think a lot of people thought they would struggle. I'm not sure people thought that they wouldn't compete to that extent. That was maybe the most troubling thing coming out of Game 1 was, you had the example of Joakim Noah playing through the pain. You had this sort of symbolic, appearance in the starting lineup, and then nobody paid attention. The Bulls didn't compete. The Nets really couldn't have played much better, and the Bulls couldn't have played much worse.
Right, as you know, David, one thing you always hear about in the playoffs is the word adjustments, and obviously beyond the intensity level needing to adjust for the Bulls, I think they need to play bigger. The Nets took advantage of the times the Bulls went small, which has been a problem for the Bulls down the stretch with all the injuries they're having. When Joakim Noah is limited, Taj Gibson's in foul trouble, you got to play small. You had some lineups where Carlos Boozer was at center, Luol Deng was at power forward. Nate Robinson at times was matched up against C.J. Watson, and C.J. Watson just kept taking rid of the rim. So
defensively, that's a liability. But you have to have Nate in the game because the Bulls aren't scoring.
Correct.
Boozer and Nate were the only two guys really giving them any sort of threat offensively.
Right, and with the Bulls banged up, and at this point it looks like Joakim Noah and Kirk Hinrich will both be a go for Game 2. Obviously, they're both nursing their injuries. Joakim's is obviously more serious than Hinrich's, who walked out of the locker room without a limp after Game 1. But their mismatched lineups have been an issue down the stretch of this series. They've been trying different rotations, and they've been trying these lineups, and a lot of times playing small. And I think the Nets, probably took advantage of that. Lopez was taking Taj Gibson to the hole pretty consistently. Nazem Mohammed only played 6 minutes. You'll wonder if that'll change in Game 2. Again, it's all about adjustments at this point.
You look at a guy like Gerald Wallace, who was as dominant as anybody in spurts and really came through, and Luol Deng really didn't play as well as we're used to seeing Luol Deng play. How does the Bulls going smaller, their lineup kind of configurations change tomorrow night in adjustment to Wallace? Can you adjust to that?
Well, the big thing Luol's got to do is be more active. Wallace just, to me, got a lot of stuff on the weak side and with his activity. And, Lou, to his credit, took a lot of responsibility in his post-game comments. Sometimes Lou can get a little sullen after poor games, and I thought he really kind of stepped up and took responsibility. He said, I need to play better, I need to be more aggressive. And that's a word you heard pretty consistently, was more intensity, more aggressiveness. And that's not only killed them in points in the paint, they also had a 13-2 edge and fast break points. I think the Bulls actually need to try to slow this pace down, play a little bit bigger, and play a little bit more physical. I think that's really what they're
play smarter, play tougher, play the way we're used to seeing them play. Tom Thibodeau, made a lot about how the biggest thing missing was intensity. Obviously, the Bulls have an opportunity. That was a great environment if you're the Brooklyn Nets yesterday. It's a challenge upon them to try to match that. That's going to be difficult because there was a lot riding on that first playoff game here in Brooklyn.
Right, and as you said, until a home team loses a playoff game, it's not really a series. So we'll see what happens tomorrow night.
Game 2 Monday night here from Brooklyn with a scenic view. For KC Johnson, I'm David Hahn, ChicagoTribune.com.